So, WhatsApp groups, should you bother with them in terms of networking? I mean, before I go on, the first tip I'm going to give everyone, I'm saying this immediately, is mute the WhatsApp group and go in when it suits you. And don't feel the need to read everything you've missed. If you do that, like a number of people do already, you can find it actually useful for winning business. So what I'll do is I'll run through a little bit about how WhatsApp groups work in terms of getting your business. So there'll be some really practical tips on things that you can do that will help you build the trust that leads to business. Or sometimes you can actually get inquiries because people need you now. So without further ado, let's go and do that. So I've called this, how the hell do you win business with WhatsApp groups? And it's a good question because a lot of people don't understand why we run the group the way we run it. So there's a lot of lightheartedness thrown in. Sometimes it's not about business and it's not about construction and property, because what we're trying to do is build trust. When you build trust, it leads to business much more naturally. So let's get on with it. So what you'll discover during this short session, I'm going to talk about being yourself as opposed to being someone else, which might sound a bit strange at first, but even on the next slide, we'll delve into why. Chemistry. Now, this is really important, particularly because we have several people doing the same thing within the same group, which goes against the ethos of some networking approaches. And I think it's really important to understand why we do it. Fast forward to you, that's what I'm going to be advocating. It sounds easy because when I'm saying be yourself, it's harder than it sounds. It's not just a soundbite and then someone go, oh, okay, I'll be myself. And then they naturally are. Because you need to go through some mental gymnastics to actually get there and stay there. And when you do, you start to be more successful. It's not just in WhatsApp groups, it's generally in networking. So I'm going to be saying that you, as you are enough. You don't need to be somebody else. We'll touch upon formal versus informal and why I believe that's really important for trust building. I'll talk about some of the things we do in the WhatsApp group. So we have got daily conversations, and then I'll go on to introductions on the Friday pitch and why it's important, these things, and how to go about it, and why you shouldn't skip some of it. It's bad for business. So who are you? Now, this is an identity question, and you may not believe it, but you are many different types of people. You're probably very different with work colleagues than you are, for example, with whatever is next, which is family. You don't act the same. You almost become that personality depending on who you're with. You'll be very different with old friends, people you've known for a long time. With current friends, people that you didn't share like childhood experiences with your partner, your life partner. You'd be different with a client and with a supplier or contractor. Can you see all the different personality types that you can adopt during a typical working day or a day at home? And with all of these people, you're going to be a mixture of the different aspects of your personality. Some will be emphasized more depending on the situation you're with. So these are just ideas of the type of person that you might see yourself as. And you might actually completely change. It might be deep and serious in some situations, like with a supplier or contractor, but humorous with old friends. Because we all have each of these elements within our personality, but to different degrees. So now I'm going to frighten you and say, these are the Myers-Briggs personality types of 16 in total. This is one of those things where you can take a personality type test and it puts you into one of these categories. Now, I wouldn't say that you are absolutely, if you took the test and you are absolutely a mediator, you will be some of the other types as well, but maybe not as pronounced. So you'll be predominantly one of these types of people if you took this test. So how does this manifest itself in networking and in WhatsApp groups? Well, these are all the personality types. So if you've got you over on the left, say, for example, you're a thinker, you might be attracted to people who are a crafter or somebody who's more artistic or maybe somebody who is a giver. And this is really important to know because people who are, let's simplify it even further and say introverts and extroverts. A lot of people think it's the extroverts who succeed at networking. And I would suggest that is completely wrong. The introverts can be just as successful. And that's because people are drawn to different types of personality. So you don't need to be the most outgoing person to actually succeed at networking. And in fact, you can be introverted and arguably succeed better than the person who's maybe a little bit more pushy. They use the wrong side of their extrovert personality and they are forceful. Whereas the introvert who focuses on building trust can be much more successful. And I'm not saying an extrovert is wrong, by the way, absolutely not. You just need to know that introverts can do just as well. And really, what we're talking about is chemistry. It doesn't matter what your personality type is. You will build chemistry with different types of people. And you'll do it more when you are closer to your true self. Probably the type of person, if we go back, let's just go back up. I highlighted with old friends. The person that you are with an old friend, try and be that person in some of the other situations that we've talked about. And another oversimplification, if you like, is being informal builds trust faster. Being who you are, being the sort of person you are with an old friend, trying to move towards that sort of tone and style in everything you do in both a WhatsApp group and on Zoom calls or in person is really important. And that's why a lot of what we do is designed to be introvert friendly and informal. So we're going to be building trust because we want people to win more business at the end of the day. So one of the things we do in the WhatsApp group is we have a daily conversation and a lot of people ignore it. And what they're doing is they're ignoring an opportunity to be the person they are and build the trust that leads to business. And we're doing lots of different topics. So we're doing construction and property topics, although we're not getting as many suggestions when we ask for them for construction and property topics. And when you take part in the daily conversation, which can only take a minute or so, what do you think on this subject, for example? Then you're building the foundation trust with other people. They're getting to peek behind the logo and see the person behind it. Because yes, if you're answering a construction and property topic, you can be the professional version of yourself with your views. But we're also doing general business topics. So a topic like this, should we politely fire problem clients? We've all got a view on that. And again, that's more you as a professional in terms of how you go about business rather than the specifics of your profession. And then we've got topics which are light in nature. So it can be topical because it's about to become it's about to be Valentine's Day. So do you go to the late night garage, or do you put a bit of thought into it? The point being that these topics actually peek behind the logo to the individual. These topics are where basically, I know it's a cliche, but people do buy people. So we want to know who you are as an individual, not as a builder or a plumber or a property investor or whatever. We'll buy from people that we like and trust. So another thing we are recommending is that when we have a new person join the group, introduce yourself. And it's not just because you're being sociable and welcoming people, although that's nice to do. There's nothing worse when you go into a group, you introduce yourself and nobody says anything. But there's method behind the madness, and let's delve into this. I'm suggesting that you introduce yourself repeatedly. One of the reasons people don't welcome and introduce themselves is that they feel as though they've done it before. So let me ask you a question. Do you recall the 100 plus introductions that there have been in the group? Do you recall all of them? Or is your answer maybe 5, 10, 20 or more or less? How many can you remember? Now, one of the reasons you're introducing yourself, here's an example from the other day. Jonathan introduced himself after somebody had joined the group, and Phil immediately replied saying, I need your expertise. So what does that tell you? It could be that Phil never saw Jonathan's original introduction, or he did, but it didn't stick. That's why repetition is good. Eventually, people will get to know Jonathan is a locksmith, and here's all the things that he does. So introducing yourself when somebody joins can potentially generate an inquiry. So consider doing that as often as you can. Save your introduction, download Business WhatsApp, it's free. You can create something called quick replies. So you can post your introduction within a couple of seconds. And the last one is it's Friday, so pitch your business during the week. If people have had nice conversations, they've taken part in some of the light daily conversation topics, people have got to know you as an individual. But on Friday, promote your business so that they see the other side to it. Because we've got to do both. One without the other doesn't work. So yeah, build trust through being you in the WhatsApp group, taking part in the daily conversation topics, starting some conversation topics. But remember to promote your business on a Friday. And that is pretty much it. That's how you get business from WhatsApp groups. And it doesn't take a lot of time. Taking part in the daily conversation topic, if you did it every day and it took a minute each time to give a view, that's 5 minutes a week to really get on the radar with people. And people will know that you're active in the group, even if that's all you do. Look out for introductions. You don't have to be in the group all day, every day. You know, you can go in and welcome somebody later on. It doesn't matter that it's later. And again, if you've done your quick replies on business WhatsApp, it only takes you a minute to do it. And that might spark an inquiry. It's like a little mini advert. It lets the new person know who you are and what you do. And it lets everybody who didn't see your previous introductions know who you are and what you do. And then the Friday pitch as well. So overall, learn how to be you in WhatsApp and in the Zooms and at real world events. The more you are, the more business you'll win. because you're building trust with people. They see the real you. And on that note, I will end and thank you for listening. Cheers.